Well, hi, good morning, and thank you so much for coming and spending part of your day with me here on April 18th for another day at this radio. Oh my gosh. Yesterday, my tail was between my legs as I found a number of what I think are pretty minor problems that I had put in this radio. Minor because fixing them didn't seem to make any difference in the operation of the radio. So I asked myself yesterday, after my shop experience, and while thinking about it as the day went on, what am I going to do today? Well, here I am today. I think I have a bit of an answer. Rather than continue with sort of a straight brute force approach, I think I'm going to do something here. It's a troubleshooting technique. Sometimes it's encouraged by information provided to support it. And that's taking resistance readings between test points. Test points are picked by me. And the expected resistance figure out by looking at the schematic. So basically the idea is I look at the schematic and I realize if I put an ohm meter here and put an ohm meter here, then I should see 15,000 ohms. Then I perform the test and then I see if it's 15,000. Of course, those of you who are experienced on this, you know what's going to happen. They're going to come back with 11,500 and scratch your head. Is that really bad, or is that not bad? If there's a really gross problem in here, and I suspect there is, in which probably it's a miswiring, an error on my part, I'm almost certain. Well, I can't be certain of anything, but that's what I suspect, is I've made a mistake and attached something incorrectly somewhere in here. And that's really the root of all the problems. That kind of thing you might find by doing this resistance measurement test. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'll plug away at it today. You know, just a couple of days ago, it was 27 degrees and solid sunshine from morning till night. Just beautiful outside, like a summer's day. Today it's gray, it's 2 degrees, that's the high today, and it's already 2 degrees. And snow is expected later in the day. My poor cats, they don't know what to think of it. The poor guys. Okay, so I'm going to study the schematic here some more and pick a initial test, which I'm going to try to target this. I'm not going to be fooling around over here. I think the problems are over here, so I'm going to do the testing in this area. We'll see what comes out of it. Probably just more confusion, I'm afraid. That's probably the case. Okay, so I started the video here in search of sympathy. This switch is so mind-boggling confusing because of the labeling and the way it's constructed and the way it's shown on the diagram. So on the diagram it's section B, section A, section C, and section D. B, A, C, D. Over here it says switch sections viewed from front and rotation clockwise. I think they mean rotated clockwise, I think is what they mean there. But up above it says all switches shown in fully anti-clock position. So what it might mean is if it's going to rotate, the rotation will be clockwise. I wish they had a big white space here. Why didn't he use more words? Huh. Okay. I gotta calm down because this is very... It's very stressful trying to sort this stuff out, I find anyway. You get serious about it, it gets kind of stressful. Okay, so what am I complaining about? So here's the part that really becomes confusing. The terminals, like here's the wafer. Let's say here's the wafer. And there's terminals sticking out here and there's wires soldered to them. But these terminals on this side are actually connected to the switch on the other side. So in other words, if this is an A and this is a B, the A terminals are sticking out on the B side. Oh boy. Yeah, if you've got this radio and you are working on this part, I wish you all the luck in the world. So I believe there's an error right in here, and I'm having a heck of a time sorting out if there's an error. It's quite likely confusion is reigning really high here in my shop. I did it the last time. I was probably just as confused. I may not have even realized how confused I was. That's confusion. Okay, so earlier battles with this exact same confusion. I had made this diagram a couple years ago to sort it out. And I made that note, terminal side. So what I'm showing here is where the terminals are located, which side the terminals are on, which is what you see when you look at this. And the actual arrangement here is shown on this diagram in tiny little print if you look really close. And it goes C, D, A, B. It's exactly the opposite of what I have here. I have C, D, A, B. But I've labeled it this way because I'm trying to help myself. I'm remembering now from 2 years ago by showing me what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the terminal sides in this position. Oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm at square one trying to understand the diagram. I'm hours and hours into trying to repair this radio. Par for the course. So I think the ultimate story here is due to massive confusion on my part over the years working on this radio. I have really buggered this switch up. So for instance, this orange drop capacitor is connected between section D, the terminals of section D, let me put it that way, and the terminals of section A. But when I look on the schematic here, there is no capacitor running between section D and section A. There isn't any. So this is wrong. And I also believe this capacitor is wrong. I believe this should be somewhere back here. I just got the whole thing all turned around. So my best way forward now is to remove these two components, the two capacitors, and leave these wires in place. You know, I've been suspicious about these blue wires since the day I installed it here. Because look at the way it's bent. It's got a bend here. It's got a bend here. These are probably remnants of the original bends. It's kind of suggesting how the wire ran. It looks like it ran down. What am I doing having it come over here? That doesn't make any sense at all. And this wire also. It's been rebent by me a couple of times. But look at the way it is now. This is no reason to think this is where it originally ran. So I may have a really big problem with these two wires. And I don't understand at all how that could be. So I'm going to remove these components. I'll probably take these two wires off and then try to rebuild the circuit step by step based on the schematic. These parts and the way things are is just causing my head to peel open repeatedly. And coffee, my coffee's not strong enough to overcome this. So I'm going to kind of simplify the situation and then build it up again. I think there's problems up here. Up here where I've connected to the volume control. I made a change. Yesterday I moved this resistor over. Well, I don't think that's the whole picture. I think this is wrong too. I don't know. It's amazing the radio worked at all. Yeah. Okay, I had to calm myself down, remove those components, and continue studying. So I know this is hard to see because the capacitor here is black and the wires are black, everything is black. This capacitor is connected to this terminal and to this terminal. It's sitting very close to this one in the middle where all this stuff was connected. Now there's a chance it was shorted to this terminal. There's a good chance of that. Okay. That was just, give you one of the things about fixing these old guys is if there's one problem in them, you can probably find it. You probably just kind of zoom in on it, bing. But if there's three problems and they're involved with each other, like maybe what I've done here, there's no zooming in on it. you spiral out into nonsense. Yeah. So I think that's probably what I've been battling with is a combination of errors and problems. while I was poking around in here, by the way, I found this disconnected wire down here. What the heck is this? Well, this turns out to be the input for the phono pickup. It just disconnected now. Either I way back when I didn't bother connecting it on purpose, but I think I forgot about it because it was out of sight back here. Harmless. I don't think it would have any effect on anything. Okay, so now my job is to figure out where's this wire supposed to go, and what about this guy, and what about this one, and what about that resistor, and what about this capacitor? What about this capacitor? Yeah, what about all that stuff? Oh yeah, it's all coming kind of clear. Oh boy, if I think I understand this, I'm in big trouble now. So this little capacitor here, which is hard to see, this little mica one here, it's connected to the terminals of A. The terminals of A. So this is on S2A. Capacitor between terminals on S2A. S2A, we can look here actually. Here's S2A. Anybody see a capacitor between terminals? There isn't one. But you see, there's one over here. And this one, I'll have to check the size of C41. This one is on D. And I think for a while I thought it was, A, B, C, and D, as you might imagine. That's wrong 3 times over. So I probably tried to stick this capacitor C41 onto here. Okay, there we are. What is the size for C41? This is going to really destroy everything. C41, 0.01. Well, that's no 0.01. This is a 0.01. Okay. Thank God the confusion's back. Everything's normal again. Okay. What I think has happened is not complicated. This capacitor I have located incorrectly. But what I've really done is I connected the far side of it to what I thought was a ground terminal down here, but it's not. This is not a grounded terminal or B minus terminal. This capacitor has to reach B minus. It's not going to do it down here. Everything else I've done was fine. All these parts here, they can all go there. This red wire is connected to this capacitor on this terminal. This terminal goes nowhere and does nothing. It's just a spare place to connect it. The nearest chassis terminal, or B minus terminal, is actually the leg of this resistor up here, which you can't see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the red wire. I'm going to relocate this capacitor from here over to the resistor here. Give this a little more stability too. And that should do the trick. That should be the whole problem. Solder these guys back where they were. It all made sense in the end. And then the radio should work. Okay, I've reached the point where it's time to try this guy out. Let's get all the flammable materials away. And what about the ultraviolet radiation? Well, hopefully there'll be none of that. So one last look here. Antenna's connected, speakers connected, power cord still intact. Plug it in. Band we're on is the broadcast band. That's the loudest band from this radio, so it's a good one to start with. Volume is turned down, and the set is switched off to start. Let's start there. Very good. Nothing happened. Okay, switch it on. Now, change I made isn't all that great in the end. Let's just double check, make sure these wires are attached. I did find another bad solder connection, but it's good enough to hold on right now. Down. Okay, we gotta keep our eyes on the dim lights. Okay, they're kind of doing something normal there. a bit. Okay, we're going to get it the full voltage here. I hear it. That's a good sign. Any motorboating? Oh, for crying out loud, how can it be? Oh, it's doing exactly the same thing. How can this be? Oh, disappointing. Oh man, secretly I really thought I got it. Well, at least the radio's still working. It's a pretty significant change I made, moving the capacitor from here up to here. But not significant enough. You know, it could just be this volume control is inappropriate. I'll tell you something else about it. I've noticed. You know, sometimes like the signal level in the volume control is actually quite low, so it's pretty sensitive. There's a back plate here, which has a ground lug, and there's another ground lug up here for another plate. Neither of them are grounded because I didn't bother. Would that have any influence on this? Yeah, I kind of don't think so. We're going to ground them out. See what happens. The ground point is right down here. I mean, this is a real long shot here. Another ground connection. Ooh, you know what? Why, holy smokes. Okay, so this is a stereo volume control. And looks like I've done the right thing there. There's a lot more volume control parts floating around in here, all just floating. You wouldn't expect motorboating. Now that's not motorboating. That's an actual interfering noise here in my shop. It's receiving pretty good. Exactly the same. Shortwave band here. Yeah, I'm not going to play shortwave right now. I got rid of one of them by snapping this up. That's a good thing I can laugh at myself after all that. Okay, well, so far I had made, I think, 4 or 5 alterations in this radio, or repair of bad solder or something like that, and the end result is nothing is changing. Hey, maybe it doesn't need all these parts. I take them all out. Maybe it would work better. Okay, that's it for today. I'm afraid didn't get to where I want to go. But, maybe it's just this volume control is going to do that because it's just not right for the radio. And I could take another approach here too, which is to recreate my own version of the volume control, get rid of some of this tone stuff and try to operate independent of it. You know, that's an interesting question. What happens if I just remove the feedback completely? Okay, that's one more question I'm going to answer before I quit today. I'm going to just disconnect the feedback line and see what happens. Okay, so I've disconnected the feedback line. This wire runs over to the output transformer. So there's no more negative feedback available. Okay, turn the volume down. Okay, I got no idea what's going to happen. We'll set this off. Apply power. There we go. Maybe it's going to squeal like a son of a gun, or maybe it's not going to produce any sound, or the tone's going to be wild on it. Okay. Okay, here we go. The volume is down to nothing right now. The last two settings are phono, now radio. Okay, I'm going to go to the broadcast band with the volume turned right down. Different bands have different volumes. Well, you know what? Look at, there's no oscillation here. But I can't turn it right down. I could probably solve that. I wish I could hear a signal. I could hear a signal so I could judge the tone of the radio. It's just somewhere there's going to be a station.
During the 20s. Much more than, I mean, I got married 1 week after college and I had to become. But the interesting side to it is with this crowd, when they get married, you know what the number one thing they want? This is the millennials. The number one.
Where'd the
Something like that.
so we got no more feedback trouble. Let's have a volume control that won't go low. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there because this is a good spot to stop because I actually got an improvement here and the tonal quality sounded fine to me. Great, I got somewhere, fantastic. So maybe tomorrow I can consider making this just a permanent arrangement. Goodbye to all this funny tone. You know, I never used this tone control anyway, really. I just had it on one setting all the time that I liked. So I never even used it. We'll sort out what to do. Yeah, tomorrow I will sort out what to do. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you're getting a kick out of this. And I hope you have a great day. See ya.